Welcome back for episode 8 of Pro Audio Deal or Disaster, the series where we look at Facebook Marketplace listings and talk about the gear, the asking prices, and share stories.
Welcome to Storytellers.
It's about our experiences with this stuff in the past. If you're new to the channel, this series is all about you sharing your thoughts and experience in the comments as well, and I'm really looking forward to reading those after this episode. Join the channel here or on Patreon for just $1 a month to help me make more of these videos, or use the thanks button down below. I genuinely can't say thank you enough for all of your support. First up this week, we've got a soundboard, and this is a Soundcraft Series 2 32 channel frame soundboard. Everything works. $975 or best offer. No low balling, please. That was listed just a week ago, and they've already reduced the price to $325, which I would consider lowballing, but that's a really fair deal on that mixer. And if it was local to me, I would probably jump on it just out of curiosity and to have a bit of fun. What do you think, though? Let me know down below. $325 for a Series 2 32 channel. There's only this one picture, so let's move on. Now, I didn't include this listing because of what they're selling. They're selling some fairly new Electro Voice speakers, some subs, some tops, and $1,150 each for the tops, $1,500 for the subs, $99 for the covers. But down in Louisiana, and what caught my attention was this installed system here at this club, and it's been there a while. These lights kind of date it. So yeah, this install has 3 cabinets aside mounted upside down. This one looks a lot more flat to the ground, parallel to the ground than this one. These look like they're aimed down, and who knows what's going on with this. Looks like maybe some unistrut with some quick links between them, and I'm guessing those are just screwed into the cabinets. None of this stuff was intended to fly. This is a huge hazard to anybody. And, to people that say this isn't a big deal, the reason this stuff is a real concern in a lot of cases, now this looks like it's an outdoor venue, some sort of shed. So maybe this isn't a permanent structure that's, considered as such. But when you do this kind of stuff in a building like a church, for instance, the concern is that if the building were to catch on fire, or there was some sort of fire-related incident inside the building, and there's smoke filling the building, you're not going to be able to see what's overhead when you're trying to get out, and especially when firefighters are coming in, and this stuff can come raining down quite literally in a fire on top of first responders and anybody trying to get out of the building. And again, this is an outdoor situation, it looks like, so maybe this isn't a permanent structure wherever this is, however they classify them for the codes or whatever. But I've seen this stuff plenty in buildings all over the world, honestly. And there's right and wrong ways to do this stuff, and to take cabinets that aren't designed for it and to hang them from the ceiling using stuff that wasn't designed to do that is never a good idea. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments for sure on that one. I've just never seen this. Of all the different Peavey consoles and the installation series stuff and the Sanctuary series stuff, I've never seen this one. So this is definitely from the installation series by the looks of things, that the same branch of the company that did the Media Matrix stuff, I would guess. And going off these knobs, like all the stuff they were selling live sound-wise during this era was blackface. They didn't do the white stuff other than in the installation world, from what I remember. I could be completely wrong on that, but I've just never seen one of these. This is massive and probably pretty basic by today's standards, but quite the console back then, especially with this MIDI command center console section here. And yeah, these photos don't make it super easy. It's hard to tell what's going on the top of these channel strips too. There's wires coming out of this one. They're all open. Looks like there's some header pins inside. This is 24 bus input. I just wonder what that was designed to go with, because here on the back is your traditional inputs, outputs, and, inserts and whatnot. Very interesting. If you used one of these, please get in the comments and let me know what configuration this was used in and what you were controlling with it. or specifically what the deal is with these headers up here at the top of the channel strip. I'd love to know more about what modules were paired with this, or did this just go to like it almost looks in the picture like maybe there was a meter bridge that maybe went with this, but I can't imagine that would have had individual headers from each channel going up. That's craziness. But this has like a ground strap. So none of this really makes a whole lot of sense to me, other than it's obviously a mixing board with some sort of MIDI integration. I'll read through the listing real quick, and they went from $400 down to $50 on this one. Peavey Command Center MIDI audio, I guess audio console. Very big, so bring a truck or trailer. If you are into music, recording studio, mixer, this is a nice addition for synth and amps music. $50 first come because they need the space. So yeah, I get that. This thing's probably pretty large, and it's certainly taking up a big chunk of what looks to be their basement or garage. So yeah, I'd be interested to know if it works. Does it have a separate power supply? I would think so. I don't know if that period though. Peavey could have definitely built this all into one thing without the separate box. Very interesting stuff. I'd really love to see more detail on the back so we could tell exactly what year it's from. Most Peavey products like this would have a badge on it that would give us all that information. So yeah, very interesting. Now, I was talking about Peavey building consoles with everything built in, and these consoles here, I remember very well. These were out when I was working at a Peavey dealer in the late 90s, and they built the console physically into these cursed SKB cases. These latches on the front of these cases never lasted very long. They would constantly open. They made a microphone box with these same latches, mic stand cases, rack cases. Actually, no, I don't think they ever made a rack case with these terrible latches. And if you bumped the lid too hard, it would just pop off. That was always fun. But yeah, so here you go. You take the lid off and your console is physically built into the case like a huge rack unit. There's screws going up the side that holds it in. And yeah, these weren't bad consoles for the time, but you can see here the power supply is integrated up top here, and everything is right on the top. There's no connections on the back, front, or otherwise. And this is a 26-channel stereo console, 26 by 4 mix buses by 2, the stereo main outputs, and decent monitoring section, decent routing for the day. Yeah, these weren't bad. I remember these weren't heavy compared to like a similarly featured Mackie console in a hard case. These were considerably lighter. From my experience, I don't think you would have told the difference between the two sonically if you were putting this up against like a Mackie VLZ console of the day. But if you used one of these, let me know what you think and what era you used them in. Did you get one new, or was it something that was hanging around? I never saw a lot of these, if any, out in the wild, maybe a handful of times. So I'd be very interested to know if you had experience actually using one. But as a concept, not a terrible console. I hated the cases, but I did like this, armrest, and the leather bit here is probably a little over the top. Overall, they were trying to innovate, do something different. And this is certainly different and convenient, other than the case not lasting very long because of these latches. You could replace the latches, and, overall, they weren't a bad way to go for the money at the time. And this one for $100, what do you think? That's pretty fair. It says it got a couple of scratchy pots, should clear up with some spray, and I'd agree. I would imagine if you clean this console, it would probably work pretty well. But yeah, I thought that was interesting and a good example of an unusual console from Peavey. And there's that badge I was talking about up top here that would say the serial number and what year it was made and all that kind of stuff. Now, this is an interesting one. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the GLD series mixers used as far as like what they go for. It strikes me that Allen & Heath makes some really great digital consoles, but as soon as they're not the most current one in the lineup, there's very little demand for them. I see a lot of used Allen & Heath consoles, and even amongst Allen & Heath fans and people that I know that like them, I've never felt encouraged by anybody to purchase a used one. So I'd love to know what you think for $1,100 for a GLD Chrome edition. Clean, 100% working, and they also have a non-chrome edition for $800, and that seems pretty cheap for an Allen & Heath mixer. I honestly don't know the difference between the non-chrome and the chrome version. This one looks filthy, frankly. It looks like it's in some sort of installation, but geez, like wipe your console down once in a while. Is there any difference between the chrome version and the non-chrome version? The Google AI hallucinated some details here, but I can't trust that. So on the Allen & Heath community forum, so the original GLD consoles can update their firmware to the latest version for free, and that contains all the features that now come standard on the new Chrome. So they released a firmware release that added features, and alongside that released a hardware version that just physically looked different. So if that is correct, that the only difference between these now is the firmware update, I would imagine the better deal is to buy the non-chrome version and make sure it has the latest firmware. And then you've saved a few $100s over this chrome one. So yeah, I'm not really sure if that's the case, why they would be asking for more money for the chrome version than the non-chrome, other than it's like slightly newer by a year or two. So if you're a big Allen & Heath user, let me know if this is a worthwhile console at any price. Are these worth having in 2024? Are they usable? Or would you skip these and go for something more current? Like I said before, I don't feel like I see as much Allen & Heath used stuff getting the same attention that like used Yamaha stuff of the same era gets. Those always sell quickly and there's always people looking for them, whereas the Allen & Heath stuff from years ago, I tend to see sitting on the used market for quite some time. So, and it's a very interesting place we're heading towards, where you can get just an incredible amount of mixing board for very little money these days on the used market. But it's up to you to decide whether or not that's a worthwhile, thing to deal with. Dealing with a slightly old digital technology is somewhat challenging. So looking forward to hearing your thoughts. And we just passed 30,000 subscribers, and I announced last year that when that happens, I'd be giving away this Switchcraft Dante output box to somebody who was subscribed to the channel and who had left a comment in the last year, basically since I put that post up. And Jesse19405 commented, "Yo, dude, let me get that Dante box." So I'm going to send it to him. I'm going to package this one up, and thank you to everyone who's been subscribed for a long time, and especially to the new 1,000 or so of you who just subscribed since my last video. Welcome to the channel. I look forward to getting to know as many of you as possible, so please leave something in the comments if you're new here. I'd love to hear from you today. Now, this is the type of listing that I really started this series for. This is a Nexo Alpha system, and just right off the bat, just looking at it very briefly, if this is the actual price, $11,000 for 20 cabinets, that's a great deal. These generally go for over $1,000 a cabinet. Used, and these seem to be in good condition. The grill cloths are a little saggy and some have holes, but that can be dealt with. Let's read through the listing. Nexo Alpha system for sale. I have 30 boxes total, but I'm going to let 20 of them go. If you want all 30, just private message me and we'll work it out. So up to 30 available. Every single cone in this system was reconed in 2020 and has seen minimal use since. So that's pretty cool. And the listing here is for 6 of the M3 dual 10 boxes. Now those were a 35 degree by 35 degree box, if I remember correctly, so pretty narrow pattern, and 7 of the B1 single 15 base cabinets and 7 of the S2 dual 18 subs. Also 6 fly bars and link kits for 16 boxes. I will also include a brand new spare 15-inch driver and a brand new 18-inch driver. That's pretty cool. Additionally, I will include Cloud9 covers for 4 of the S2 subs, as well as 8 or 10 caster carts. I also have a stack of new grill foam that you can have. So the grill foam that's damaged and sagging in this picture is not such a big deal because they're offering some new stuff. Probably not enough for every box, but pretty close to it. And these came out in 1996. If you've never seen a Nexo Alpha rig deployed, they are pretty special. There's the covers. So very nice Cloud9 covers. Again, if you've never worked with those are high quality covers that you can get made for almost anything. And yeah, I'd love to hear your opinions. I think this is a fair deal. If the price is actually 11 grand for 20 boxes, if you were at all inclined, I would get on the phone with this gentleman and negotiate for all 30 and the spare parts, because it seems like a fair deal if you're looking for alpha stuff here. So I'd love to hear your stories. Have you ever mixed on these? I've only ever actually worked on an alpha rig a handful of times. There was only one provider that I knew in the area that deployed these on the type of corporate party gigs that I did regularly in the years following. And if memory serves, I think that that provider is still using their alpha rig for certain things. So these are certainly not beyond usability, and I'd love to hear if you've had any fun experiences mixing on these or otherwise if you're not a big fan. So I'm looking forward to hearing your stories on this one. That's pretty impressive to see a Nexo Alpha rig for $11,000. Yeah, wow. So this is not live sound, but certainly fascinating, and I'm sure plenty of popular recordings in the day were made live using a radar system like this. Maybe not a Radar 5. This is a quite current one compared to some of the older Radar 1s and 2s that are on the market and demanding good money. So for $3,000, local pickup, saying shipping could be arranged but won't be cheap. We've got a Radar 5 24-track hard disk recording system. This is a very high quality piece and in excellent condition. I do not need this in my studio as I use a DAW, but it is very tempting to keep it since the workflow and the sound quality are top notch. It operates like a tape machine. Parts and service are available at IZ Technologies. That's true. You can go to their website and still buy parts for these. The cable between the PC and the session controller is at least 30 feet long. That's pretty impressive. This Radar 5 is version 3.37 and does not have A to D converters, so it will be necessary to use an outboard A to D converter. Any good converter will work fine. I used a Prism 8-channel ADC, but any Pro unit from Yamaha, RME, Audient, Grace, etc. would work just fine. It uses DB25 cables to access all 24 tracks of audio via AES. There is a small scratch on the meter face, but aside from that, this Radar 5 is in excellent condition cosmetically and functionally. It includes over 20 hard drives, wow, some brand new in the package and many in IZ Technology caddies, so that's very handy to know. At least 6 of these have been tested good. Some of the others in caddies may be faulty, or maybe they just need to be reinitialized. Also included is an external SCSI hard disk drive. Pickup locally, shipping could be arranged but will not be cheap due to the size and weight of the main unit. If shipping is absolutely necessary, contact for a quote. So they're willing to ship it. The monitor will be included, but not the one in the photo. Any decent monitor will work fine. So yeah, these are pretty cool systems. These were very, very popular for a good number of years. There's probably studios out there still running these, I would imagine, because they were not cheap in their day when they were new. Yeah, a lot of people really like these. Wow, there's all the accessories, all the caddies, the SCSI drive. So yeah, pretty complete setup here for $3,000. Assuming it all functions as they're saying it does. I would imagine it does. But you should definitely always test this kind of stuff if you do buy it. I wouldn't get super excited and go just like hand over $3,000 and take this package home. I would definitely want to plug it in and see it doing something, laying down some tracks and playing back at very least before walking away. We can see on the back it's not fully populated with all the possible inputs and outputs, but you've got the digital I/O here. channels 1 through 24. And then some additional MIDI, SPDIF, AES, SMPTE, and it looks to be about it for the audio side of things. So, yeah, I don't know if $3,000 is something I would spend on a system like this, but it is certainly a fair price for an Otari Radar 5. You know, on Reverb, I see them as $6,000. Yeah, so depending on how you configure these, but with all the extra bits and bobs and the extra caddies, let's see, there's one here for $3,600. It's cleaner, but similar, and without all the extra bits and pieces. So $3,000, you know, fair deal. What do you think? Would you run a system like this in your home studio nowadays, or is this seen its time and had its day? Because, you know, you've definitely got some work to do to get from here to a modern DAW once you record into this system. So, yeah, as the person selling it says, it's just hard to find a use for it. But I'm sure somebody, like I said, is in love with this workflow and is still using these. So, pretty interesting deal. Certainly not a disaster. I'd love to have one to play with, but $3,000's a little steep just for curiosity. But I'm sure it's a nice system to use.